kallan punarnavasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasada Yasya prasadat nagati kutopi Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasada Yasya prasadat nagati kutopi Dayang stubang tasya jasati sandhang Dayang stubang tasya jasati sandhang Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Samsara Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda, all glories to the assembled devotees who attend these programs on a weekly basis. We do appreciate your participation in this global broadcast, which is also found on Hare Krishna Society YouTube page. So if anyone is tuning in, you can always go to the YouTube channel that we have. We have over, I believe now, 350 programs of presentations on the philosophy of Śrīla Prabhupāda's mission to deliver the transcendental truth about how to get out of the entanglement of this material world through service to the pure devotee. This is the simple message. And Prabhupada explained to me at my initiation, I've told this before, when I went up in front of him in Detroit in 1971, they announced my name, Vishwakarma Das. I had no idea what the name was, never heard it before. And because we had no books, if you recall, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, in the early days, we had no books. We had a Bhagavad Gita, a blue one, little small blue Macmillan version. And we had the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Delhi version, which we're still in the process of finalizing the printing, so everyone knows. It's been quite a journey, but we're doing very well with that, and we'll give some times for the release due course. But at any rate, we didn't have any information about demigods, etc. I mean, the Krishna book didn't come out till, I think it was 72, Prabhu. So, was it 71?
July
What?
1970.
70. I guess
Yep.
we hadn't received them in Hamilton. That was the thing. So, because it was limited, I mean, we were just a house with a bunch of people living in it, and very simple. We had a Panchatattva and a picture of Prabhupada, that was it. And we had rented a house. We were living in the house, all of us. And we just turned the living room into a kirtan hall. So, but at any rate, Prabhupada, there was a cheer when the name came out. Oh, Vishwakarma. Like I said, I had no idea what the name meant. But Prabhupada looked at me, he said, you should never think that you're the chief engineer, but the servant of the servant of the servant of the chief engineer. And in this way, you'll become great. So this message is constantly repeated by Prabhupada in his books, that if we serve the servants of the servant of Krishna, we'll become great by that service, because this is the formula of success. And unfortunately, it's been misconstrued nowadays by so many different ISKCON people, especially in that mission, which has been destroyed due to whimsical behavior of the so-called leaders there, where they're accepting service for themselves, and somehow or other trying to say that they're serving Prabhupada when they ignore reading his books, and probably in many cases not chanting their rounds. But even if they do, what is the potency when you're living a lie or cheating? And you know it consciously, and yet you don't try to adjust your behavior. There's a situation years ago, Prabhu's, a couple of years ago, there was Bhaktivedanta. He's a devotee who now resides, I believe he's originally from England. I never met him. I think he joined in 76. So I never met him in Mayapur or Vrindavan when I was going for the festivals. But no, he's emerged up as some sort of spokesperson of our philosophy. And he has a small group of people that follow him in Atlanta. They have set up an organization separate from ISKCON called Krishna Life. So you have Krishna West, Krishna Life. You have all these different organizations. And he made an announcement a few years ago. He said, we should just, in relation to his position as a leader in that movement, we should just all separate and go on our own ways, because it's going to happen anyway. You know, people say never leave, but they've all left and they're on their own. It's called anarchy, where you individually set up your own situation and completely ignore everyone else and everything else. And if people are dissenters, what happens is those dissenters that complain about their so-called philosophical position as elected gurus or book changers, these dissenters are banished from the group. Yes, banished. And there have been a variety of situations that have happened, hundreds of them actually, where anybody that objected to their false position was threatened or banished or kicked out of that association. So he's saying, look, let's all separate. Radhanath, you go your way. I'll go my way. Hridayananda, he's got nobody in his group, by the way. That's just a false propaganda. These groups are very small, Prabhus. They're not big. Okay, well, someone could say, well, what about Jaipat? Yeah, that's somewhat big, but it's not really. I saw a letter recently, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, where he was complaining about his disciples not reading the books and not chanting, not really knowing what they were doing. And the question is, why did you initiate them if you didn't train them? Why? Well, they have their reasons and they're entitled to them. Same with this Radhanath fellow. He's a completely deviant person. And the proof is there. There's thousands of situations that have come up philosophically. And even publicly, one of my godbrothers sent me a note. He was denying that he even cared about being a disciple of Śrīla Prabhupāda. So this kind of thing is going on. It's unfortunate. It's called anarchy. And there are individual people that want to set themselves up to be in a position of respect and authority. And in this way, they feel satisfied with themselves. It is not a surrendered state of submission to our spiritual master. This surrender to the spiritual master is a wonderful science that we're all studying about together in these classes and with our reading of Prabhupada's books on our own. We all have an individual program for studying the books. And by doing that, we get a direct insight into the transcendental power of Śrīla Prabhupāda's words, which is a window to the spiritual world, an escape out of this cycle of birth and death that we're all entangled in. And that's going on constantly. I was just mentioning to one of the members here at my place how many hundreds of people I've watched die in my situation. We've had so many people, even that have lived here, that have already passed away, 6 or 7 from here. And then if you look at all the things that are going on, especially online, because that's like a news center for people, you see all these people that have died. He has died, she has died, all these people, and yet people are thinking, I won't die. Yes, you will. Death is for certain. For one who is born, death is certain. For one who has died, birth is certain. That's Krishna explaining the reality of birth and death. So death is imminent. Especially when you're older, you can't stop but think about the fact that your time is running out. Time and tide wait for no man. That's the reality of truth. Time and tide wait for nobody can avoid leaving this body. And the most important thing for all of us is to focus individually and collectively, individually in our own self-development and collectively work together as we can. It's very difficult in a relative sense because everybody is isolated. We're all in different parts of the world. We're not in a centralized, institutionalized environment. And at the same time, we're trying to get association. And we do appreciate all of you that do come and attend the programs on a weekly basis. It's not that everybody is consistent. There are lots of people come and go. That's the way of life. But those that stay steady will get inspired by this association because it is truly valuable in your understanding. And we do need direction. There's no organization that runs without leadership. And we have a very good leadership group that we're, especially all of us that are attending regularly on the classes, we consider all of you leaders, and you're propagating the truth to other people throughout the world, that Prabhupada is the bona fide spiritual master. He is present in his Vani incarnation, and he is available to everyone who simply is ready to accept him in his role as Diksha and Siksha Guru. And you won't be disappointed, which is the case that has been going on. Lots of disappointment, especially for those that have committed many, many years of their life to the mission and then been banished because they are dissenters. Oh, yes. And that is completely the wrong way to deal with dissension. We're going to go to the readings of the diaries of Śrīla Prabhupada today. and get more insight into how he was dealing with rejection, with disappointment, and all the different struggles that he was undergoing while he started the movement. And this is very valuable for everyone to hear and then apply in their own life, because we're all struggling. We're all being disappointed. There's all kinds of rejection. And in this way, learn how, by his example, to deal with these matters. So this is Thursday, March 10th, 1966. Back in time. Sunrise 6:23, sunset 5:59, and moonrise 10:46, Chaturi. Let's see what we got here. One letter received from Vrindavan, India. One letter received from Library Bureau, local. One set of books left with New Direction Books. 333 6th Avenue, and the matter informed to Mr. Larry Bogart. Kirtan performed at the studio. There was some inconvenience, and Mrs. LeBlanc did not come today. Yolan and two other ladies and another gentleman came. So 2 ladies, 1 gentleman, and Yolan, 4 people. And the expenditure was bus fare 30 cents and no income. Not much Lakshmi. Friday, March 11th, 19... Excuse me. My microphone stand broke. Sunrise, 6:21. Sunset, 6 o'clock. Moonrise Panchami. Doctor asked me to take some food when I go to Monroe tomorrow. That's Mishra. I went to see the Paragon Book Gallery. There was some mistake. Later on, the clerk showed me one set on the lower shelf. This makes the whole thing correct. 9 sets, 1 set down, total 10 sets. Add 35 new sets, total 45 sets. So he's having the books transferred there so he can store them. He had no place to keep books. Transferred to old stock, 25 sets. Just see meticulously how he's tracking his inventory. Very valuable information here. Very detailed, Prabhus. Taken today 4 sets, balanced 16 sets, new stock. Posted letter to them all. The 16 sets new I shall take at a time when I need them, next need them. Expenditure is bus fare 30 cents, post 5 cents. It's $1.30. Income contribution, he got $2. His net was 70 cents. 1 letter sent to Tirtha Maharaj in reply to his letter of 22,266, and 1 letter sent to Mrs. Sally Agarwal in reply to her letter of 6,366. Saturday, March 12th, 1966. Here's Prabhupada sitting. You can go back to that picture, Rupesh. I put that in. This appears to be a photo from the office where he was staying. You can see how humble it is. It appears that he's sleeping on the same mat that he has for sitting. He only had one thing. And then he's working tirelessly to spread the mission in these very humble circumstances. And here we are, March 11th. Is that it? March 12th, sorry. Sunrise, 6:19 a.m. Sunset, 6:01 p.m. Moonrise, 1 a.m. Shasti. I was going to go to Monroe, but Yolanda did not go, so I could not go there. Food made for Dr. Mishra was partially distributed to Cohen and Yolanda. 2 partas left for him. Cohen is preparing to go to California. 1/2 tape recorder prepared for him. He bought a pad for sitting. Oh yeah, there is his pad. He assured the maintenance of rent of my room. So Mr. Cohen is stepping up to pay the rent for Śrīla Prabhupada. No income, no expenditures. And he mentions that paratha is a type of flatbread preparation. That's a footnote, excuse me. Sunday, March 13th, 1966. Sunrise, 6:17 a.m. Sunset, 6:30 p.m. The moon rises, 1:12 a.m. So Prabhupada's keeping track of the days as they're moving very carefully by time. Saptami, the young lady who was to come and see me today, did not turn up. Okay. In the evening, 2 ladies and Mr. Sushman came. There was some discussions. One of the ladies brought bread for me. No income and no expenditure. It's Monday, March 14th, 1966. Sunrise, 6:16 a.m. Sunset, 6:06 p.m. Moonset, 2:17 a.m. Or 2:17, yeah. Astami, 1 letter received from Chandrasekhar. It will take some time to renew the passport. I have today renewed the visa up to June 30th, 1966. Paid $10 as a fee. I have lost today the good fountain pen given to me by Gopal. It's worth $13.50. I'm very sorry for this, but I should not lament for this because it was given by somebody and it is taken by somebody else. It was in my possession only for a few months, so I've purchased one today of the same but inferior quality is working well. Expenditures of pen Schaefer. Subway to Chamber Station and down, 30 cents. And the visa fees was $10, so it was $11.30. He got some income, and so the net was $17. So he had some positive cash flow that day. Tuesday, March 15th, 1966. Okay, here we go. Tuesday, the 15th of March, sunrise, 6:14 a.m. Moonrise, 3:13, sunset, 6:06 p.m. Navami, today, no letter received, and Jones requested to pick up the books from Paragon. She agreed to do it tomorrow. Today, no letter received, deposited in the bank, $25, no other expenditures. In the evening, 5 ladies and a gentleman visited. There were some talks. So Prabhupada speaking to people he's trying to inspire to take up the process of devotional service with him. Mrs. LeBlanc came at the end after Dr. Mishra's meeting. Now she's losing interest since she has learnt it from the Bhagavad Gita does not support monism. So she's losing interest in Dr. Mishra's program. No income today. So very little money flowing here, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. Very little Lakshmi. Wednesday, March 16th. Sunrise, 6:12. Oh, there's a beautiful picture of Prabhupada there in his room. And he has a mridanga. Very nice. Beautiful. Look at it. So sincere. And look how young he looks in this picture. So gorgeous. We'll keep going here with March 16th. Thank you. Sunrise. Joan was kind enough to get my books, 16 sets from Paragon Book Gallery. These books are brought and kept in stock. So that's 48 books. There's 3 books in the volume. No letters received. In the evening, there was a meeting. The attendance was 3 only. Only 3 people came. In the evening, there was a meeting. The attendance was only 3. No expenditures. Income was $3 only by contribution. So March, cold in New York, and not much response. March 17th. Thursday, March 17th. Ekadasi, sunrise, 6:10 a.m. Sunset, 6:08 p.m. Moonrise, 4:38 a.m. Today, rent for the month, to 1 month paid in advance to Mr. Fletcher, landlord by taking money drawing from the bank. Received letter from the Salvation Army. The finance secretary at once went to see him. The result is favorable by the grace of the Lord. So the finance secretary has agreed to accept at $4.80 dollar exchange. He is writing to London office for confirmation. So the expenditure is bus fare 30 cents. It appears 15 cents each way. Envelopes, half a dozen, so Prabhupada bought for his letters, 32 cents. So total expenditure was 62 cents. In the evening, 2 ladies and 1 gentleman came. So again, 3 people plus Prabhupada. He's giving his time. He's preaching, even though he's preaching to hardly anybody. Mr. Tony came to see me. There was some discussions. And we're going to read the letter from the Salvation Army. I think it's there. Yeah, there we go. So it's to Prabhupada, and he's encouraged by the response. I'll read it. Dear sir, this will acknowledge your letter of March 5th, 1966, in connection with the possibility of the Salvation Army paying you American dollars and having you release an equivalent amount of Indian currency for the Salvation Army work in India. It is noted that you will need $200,000. I just have to read that carefully. Immediately for starting your work here in New York. The Salvation Army in America rarely sends more money directly to India, and therefore would hardly be in a position to help you establish a preaching center in America for the study of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. In the event, however, there is an occasion might arise, what would be the basis of the rate of exchange? We understand that there is the official bank rate, and there are other rates available to us which are legal, but which provide some funds in India currency that would be provided by the official bank rate. And that's from the financial secretary in India, in America. Remember, I used to exchange rate downtown in Delhi at this building where you would go and get these special rates when I used to go to India. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda and his ongoing efforts to establish Krishna consciousness in America. Let's move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, and then the reading and discussion with Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, and then our panel of devotees to discuss various topics here on a Sunday morning in Hamilton, Ontario, and around the world. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Hare Sadasyaman Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, one, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the Bhagavad Purana. This discussion is based on the original 1962 version of the first canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, published in New Delhi in 1962. It should be noted that all synonyms, translations, and purports are by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. As we do every week, we will read a few selected verses from the first canto, second chapter, where Śrīla Prabhupāda describes, where the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself describes the benefit of hearing this great, powerful, transcendental literature. Yadadudhyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam Chindanti kovidastasya nokona kuryat kataratim. Intelligent persons do cut off the internet of the knot of reactionary work by remembering the remembrance of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not give attention to his message? Shushrushoho Sraddadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. O the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done. And as the result of such great service, affinity in the message of Vasudeva is made possible. Srinvatam Svakata Krishna punyasravana kirtanah hridyantasto yabadrani vidunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, thus cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta prayeshu babadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Tadarajastamo bhava kamalo badayaschaye chitayetera nabiddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time, the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in a mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataham bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayati. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in a mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man, affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord, can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. We will proceed with our reading of chapter 1, text number 5, Canto 1, Chapter 5, text number 32. Etat sanshutitam brahmam tat patraya chikichitam yadishvare bhagavati karma brahmani bhavitam. Etat, this much, sanshutitam, decided by the learned, Brahmans, O Brahmin Vyasa, tapatraya, 3 kinds of miseries, chikichitam, remedial measures, yad, what, Ishware, the supreme controller, Bhagavati, unto the personality of Godhead, karma, one's prescribed activities, brahmani, unto the great, bhavitam, dedicated. O Brahmin Vyasadeva, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities in the service of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Sri Narada Muni experienced it personally that the most feasible and practical way of opening the path of salvation or getting relief from all miseries of life is to hear submissively the transcendental activities of the Lord from the right and bona fide sources. This is the only remedial process. The whole material existence is full of miseries. The foolish people have manufactured out of their tiny brain many remedial measures for removing the threefold miseries pertaining to body and mind, pertaining to the natural disturbances, and in relation with other living beings. The whole world is struggling very hard to exist out of these miseries, but they do not know that without the sanction of the Lord, no plan or no remedial measure can actually bring out the desired peace and tranquility. The remedial measure to cure a patient by medical treatment is useless if it is not sanctioned by the Lord. To cross the river or the ocean by suitable boat is no remedial measure if it is not sanctioned by the Lord. The parents cannot protect their children if it is not sanctioned by the Lord. We should know it certainly that the Lord is the ultimate sanctioning officer, and we must therefore dedicate our attempts to the mercy of the Lord for ultimate success, or to get rid of the obstacles on the path of success. The Lord is all-pervading, all-powerful, omniscient, and omnipresent, and he is the ultimate sanctioning agent of all good or bad effects. We should therefore learn to dedicate our activities unto the mercy of the Lord, accept him either as the impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It does not matter what you are or what you be, but you must dedicate your everything for the service of the Lord. If you are a learned scholar, scientist, philosopher, poet, or something like that, then please employ your learning to establish the supremacy of the Lord. Try to study the energy of the Lord in every sphere of life. Do not decry him or try to become like him or to take his position simply by your fragmental accumulation of knowledge. If you are administrator, statesman, warrior, politician, or anything like that, then please try to establish the Lord's supremacy in your statesmanship. Fight for the cause of the Lord as Sri Arjuna did. In the beginning, Sri Arjuna, the great fighter, declined to fight for his own sense satisfaction. But when he was convinced by the Lord that the fighting was necessary by his great will, Sri Arjuna changed his decision and fought for his cause. Similarly, if you are a businessman, an industrialist, an agriculturist, or something like that, then please spend your hard-earned money for the cause of the Lord. Think always that the money which you have accumulated is the wealth of the Lord. Wealth is considered to be the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, and the Lord is Narayana, or the husband of Lakshmi. Try to engage Lakshmi in the service of Lord Narayana, and you will be happy. That is the way of realizing the Lord in every sphere of life. The best thing is, after all, to get relief from all material activities and engage oneself completely in the business of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. But in case of absence of such opportunity, we should try to engage everything for which we have specific attraction in the service of the Lord, and that is the way of peace and prosperity, and that is the way of remedial measure for all the miseries of material existence. The word samsuchitam in this stanza is also significant. We should not think for a moment that the above realization of Narada was childish imagination only. It is not like that. It is so realized by the expert and erudite scholars, And that is the real import of the word sansuchitam. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshuranmilitam yena tasmai shigurave namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasme Shigurave Namaham Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sarkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshatah Adadana-strinam danter idam yachi punaha punaha Śrīmad-Rūpa-padam bhoja dhulishyam janma janmani amsho bhagavatosmyaham sadadasu asmi sarvata tatkripa pikshako nityam tatprishtashat karomishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is a very interesting purport which describes how to become Krishna conscious, how to practice bhakti in any stage of life. Prabhupada mentions in the purport, the whole world is struggling very hard to exist out of these miseries, but they do not know that without the sanction of the Lord, no plan or no remedial measure can actually bring out the desired peace and tranquility. Everybody is looking for peace. Everybody wants ceasefires, tranquility, peace, harmony. We see this with the conflict in Ukraine. We see this with the conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Hezbollah and Hamas. We see this in so many places around the world. But the only solution is given by Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhoktaram yajñatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam nyatmamam shantim richati. The Sanskrit word shantim means peace. And this has been achieved by many great personalities in the past by accepting three principles. Bhoktaram yajñapasam, that God, Krishna, is the ultimate enjoyer of all of our activities. All of our activities should be dedicated to Lord Krishna or God. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, one should recognize that he is the owner of everything. He is the proprietor of all the land, all the countries, and everything. In Suridam Sarvabhut, he is the friend of all living entities. It's important to remember here that all these conflicts are due to forgetfulness of these three basic fundamental principles. It is not complicated to understand. Otherwise, one can make whatever political plan, economic plan, social plans, it will simply end up in failure. That is the nature of the material world. That one is subject to various miseries. Just like in regular human society, in every country, there are prisons, jails. Why is that? Somebody may say, well, the government is very cruel They're keeping a prison. It's not a nice place to be. People are deprived of their freedom. People are subjected to so many strict rules and regulations. That is not good. But the government knows that there will always be a class of man that will disobey the laws and rules and regulations of the government. This is all over the world. Therefore, that's why there's a prison. Why are we in this material world? Why are we suffering? Because we have disobeyed the will of the Lord. We have disobeyed the instructions of the Lord through his various avatars, prophets, incarnations, great saints, his son. We have disobeyed Krishna's instruction. We have rebelled against his authority, just like the criminal rebels against the authority of the government, therefore he ends up in prison. This material world is a prison house for the conditioned soul who have rebelled against the authority of the Lord. And the only way to save oneself from this difficult situation is to behave according to the instruction of the Lord. Now, it's interesting that Prabhupada here is giving many examples regarding administrator, warrior, politician, statesman. Please try to establish the Lord's supremacy in your statesmanship. Fight for the cause of the Lord as Sri Arjuna did. Same way in modern times, one can fight for the cause of the mission of Śrīla Prabhupāda and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. This is the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita. It's very simple. It is not complicated. It has only become complicated when people twist and distort the message. The message is simple. Yat karosi adasnosi yat juhosi dadasi yat. That whatever you do, whatever sacrifice you do, whatever penance you do, whatever meditation you do, you should do it for Krishna, for the Lord. How is that? How does that start? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Everybody has to eat. And this eating process should be purified. In the human form of life, one should discriminate. One should not kill animals, especially the cow. Because the Lord has provided so many fruits, grains, vegetables, milk. One can take advantage of these and offer it in a loving, bhaktya prayachati, with loving devotion. And if one does not have much money, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, everybody can offer his foodstuff to the Lord with love and devotion. And in this way, one will become purified. His life will become sanctified. But the biggest danger nowadays is we have many imposters, posers, pretenders who claim to represent original acharyas like Śrīla Prabhupāda or Krishna's son, Jesus Christ, or different other religious figures who claim to represent the teachings, but they distort the teachings. They change the original teachings. That is very dangerous. One should be aware of such persons and avoid hearing from them. This is the recommendation of Sanatana Goswami, a great saint in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, in his Hari Bhakti Vilas. Avaishnava Mukod Girnam Futam Hari Katam Ritam. One should not hear from a non-Vaishnava, a non-devotee. Because the nectar, hearing about the pastimes of Lord Krishna, is considered amrita, like nectar. But if one hears from a non-devotee, sarpochistam yatapayaha, it is just like taking milk that has been touched by the lips of a serpent. It will have very detrimental effect, very dangerous effect. If you take milk that has been contaminated by a serpent, you have to throw it out. You cannot say, oh, it's just a little drop of poison. No, it will have injurious effect. It will have adverse effect. Similarly, one should not hear from those who have deviated from the original teachings. And this is very important because we see in the present context of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, many persons who are presenting themselves as authorities, preachers, so-called renunciates, so-called devotees, but yet they have perverted the teachings in so many ways. One should be aware of such persons and avoid them at all costs. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Thank you, Yaśodā-nandana. Very well spoken, and we do appreciate your insights in today's verse on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And I found that the purport was very comprehensive in explaining how one should act in the material world. And Prabhupada specifically relates to wealth. Wealth is considered to be the goddess of fortune, and the Lord is Narayan, or the husband of Lakshmi. Try to engage Lakshmi in the service of the Lord and Narayan, and you will be happy. So Prabhupada's in this purport giving us an overall perspective on what we should do with our time, our wealth, our money. And in this way, we can get liberated out of the repetition of birth and death. Yes, because nirmama, nothing is mine. We're born into this world with nothing, and we leave with nothing. And all we carry with us is our karma. And this karma, no matter what someone thinks, is there in our lives. Just like we're told not to put our hand, Prabhupada, I said this yesterday, Prabhupada was giving us a wonderful example of the child being turned, don't put your hand in the fire. You'll get your hand burnt. And then the person does. The child puts his hand in the fire and the hand gets burnt. So like that, we're told, don't do this, don't do that. Don't act in the modes of passion. Don't act in the mode of ignorance, because what will happen is you'll get karma for this. And you were mentioning, Yaśodā, about these fake people that are pretending to be gurus or acharyas. They're committing a great sin. I just had a conversation from a fellow in Mauritius, and he was saying, well, there are so many disciples of this Giriraj. And I just told him very simply, well, they've been misled. So this is unfortunate, but it is going on in this material world. I wanted to further elaborate on this purport in another purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda in the Bhagavad Gita, which I think will answer a lot of questions for us in terms of how we should act in our own lives in terms of service to Krishna and to Prabhupada. So it's text 57, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18. Here it is here. Cetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha buddhi yogam upashriteya mach chitta satatam bhava. In all activities, just depend upon me and work, always under my protection. So we're working, taking shelter of Krishna. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. When one acts in Krishna consciousness, he does not act as the master of the world. Just like a servant, one should not act fully under the direction of the Supreme. One should act fully under the direction of the Supreme Lord. A servant has no individual independence. He acts only on the order of the master. A servant acting on behalf of the Supreme Master, has no affection for profit and loss. He simply discharges his duty faithfully in terms of the order of the Lord. Now, one may argue that Arjuna was acting under the personal direction of Krishna, but when Krishna is not present, how should one act? If one acts according to the direction of Krishna in this book, that's Bhagavad Gita as it is, by Śrīla Prabhupāda, as well as under the guidance of the representative of Krishna, Śrīla Prabhupāda, then the result will be the same. The Sanskrit word matpara is very important in this verse. It indicates that one has no goal in life save and except acting in Krishna consciousness, just to satisfy Krishna. And while working in that way, one should think of Krishna only. I've been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna. While acting in such a way, one naturally has to think of Krishna. This is perfect Krishna consciousness. And here's some key notes here, Prabhus. One should, however, note that after doing something whimsically, he should not offer the result to the Supreme Lord. That sort of duty is not in the devotional service of Krishna consciousness. One should act according to the order of Krishna. This is a very important point. The order of Krishna comes through disciplic succession from the bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, the spiritual master's orders should be taken as the prime duty of life. If one gets a bona fide spiritual master, which we do have, and acts according to his direction, then his perfection of life in Krishna consciousness is guaranteed. So connect the dots between the purport and this purport, and you'll get a full understanding of this philosophy and how to act. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please, if you could further comment.
Very important point that is raised. Come back to the point I was discussing earlier about avoiding the association or avoiding hearing from persons who do not properly follow the Acharya. Now, this is very important. Prabhupada mentions in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Text 16. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Text 16. Prabhupada said, we should befriend and offer special respect to persons who are developed in Krishna consciousness. Other living entities are undoubtedly part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but because their consciousness is still covered and not developed in Krishna consciousness, we should renounce their association. It is said by Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur that even if one is a Vaishnava, if he is not of good character, his company should be avoided, although he may be offered the respect of a Vaishnava. Anyone who accepts Vishnu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is accepted as a Vaishnava, but a Vaishnava is expected to develop all the good qualities of the demigods. Similarly, in the next text, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Text 17, Canto number 3, Chapter 29, Text number 17, Śrīla Prabhupada says, friendship should be cemented between persons. Let me read the whole paragraph. In Bhagavad Gita, there is a reference to bodhayantaha parasparam, discussing among themselves. Generally, pure devotees utilize their valuable time in chanting and discussing various activities of Lord Krishna or Lord Chaitanya among themselves. Purport. There are innumerable books such as the Puranas, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Upanishads, which contain countless subjects for discussion among true devotees or more. Friendship should be cemented between persons with mutual interests and understanding. Such persons are said to be svajati, of the same caste. The devotee should avoid a person whose character is not fixed in the standard understanding, even though he may be a Vaishnava or a devotee of Krishna. If his character is not correctly representative, then he should be avoided. One should steadily control the senses and the mind and strictly follow rules and regulations, and he should make friendship with persons of the same standard. That speaks for itself. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, that's very true. Association is like a crystal stone, and it reflects the image that it comes in contact with. And so it's very important to get good association. And association of devotees is very valuable. Yes, it is. And especially nowadays, there are very few Śrīla Prabhupada disciples still alive in the present day. Of course, because time is taking us all away. And some people will minimize that. Oh, it's not important. Like we have a situation in England, for example, of a devotee that used to associate with Aprakrita, our beloved devotee friend and very advanced devotee in Montreal, Aprakrita, who recently left this world. And his association was very valuable for all of us because he set such a high standard of Krishna consciousness personally. And this was a great blessing for especially the people in Montreal that had a chance to see how he was personally surrendered to Śrīla Prabhupada and sacrificed everything in the service of his spiritual master. Here, look at this. See this here. This is a item that was given to me from him. Let me show you here. Let me look. He sent these bookmarks to me a couple of years ago. And he asked me for what my favorite verses were in the Bhagavad Gita. So I gave him the verses. I just try to find out the truth by approaching a spiritual master. And then I put the other verse, this knowledge is the king of knowledge. So he put these on these bookmarks. I give them out to people that come here. It's a small thing, but it's a big thing. And I'm very, very honored that he was able to create these. And he was doing them for many people. He was doing multiple services. He had one of the largest websites in Europe for preaching Krishna consciousness. He never proselytized it much in terms of himself, but he did it for the benefit of others. So many wonderful services he was providing. He wasn't some kind of big shot, and projecting himself as a guru or a sannyasi. Those things have become an abomination nowadays because of all of the discrepancies that have come about, unfortunately, for these people. So personal commitment to the Sankirtan mission, personal commitment to the process of devotional service, that is our mandate. And then the mission of Śrīla Prabhupada to distribute his original books, because these books are so valuable. They give people insight into spiritual life like nothing else that's ever been created in the modern times. Nothing. Just see. There are so many books from Śrīla Prabhupada. Look at this book. It's so beautiful. And when you have it and you read it and you understand what is in it, you really can appreciate how blessed you are to have the association of a pure devotee in transcendental sound. That's what Vani incarnation means. He's living in his sound vibration, not in this frail body made of bones and pus and stool, all those things that make up this material body. It's transcendental knowledge. It's a subtle science, very subtle. It's the subtlest thing that exists, actually. And the chanting of Hare Krishna is such a wonderful opportunity given by Prabhupada to us, how to connect ourselves with the transcendental world through the holy name. We may not understand it, of course, because it's something that has to come through tapasya, great austerity, and great dedication and commitment to the chanting. But it is there if we just keep following the process and take shelter of the process as our purpose in life, then everything will be a result. And then Prabhupada said in this purport that your deliverance from this material world is guaranteed. Can you imagine? It's so inconceivable to think about the eternal life that exists for us after completing this short term in the human form of life. It is very difficult to comprehend, but it is not difficult to understand how to dovetail your service in the service of the spiritual master and the service of Krishna, because everybody is serving. Everyone is serving. So instead of serving the mundane world that we're born into, we're serving the transcendental world of Krishna consciousness through the spiritual master by his grace. And in this way, through this service, the same service, but dovetailed in Krishna's service, will liberate us out of birth and death. So this is a great opportunity. I wanted to ask our friend in Ukraine, Panchagoda, maybe he can make some comments this morning on today's program. Put your microphone on, Panchagoda.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Yes, it's very interesting and inspiring. You're talking Vishwakarma Prabhu and Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, especially about our bona fide spiritual master, Śrīla Prabhupāda. And I think this is the most important when we understand this idea that we have the proper guidance and the proper Sangha. This is the most beneficial thing. And especially when we are surrounded of people, of devotees who are very excited about protecting and moving forward the mission of Śrīla Prabhupāda. This is the most valuable thing in the life. So just a short comment. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. And I wanted to mention that these devotees in Ukraine are undergoing a lot of difficulty in maintaining themselves and their mission. And so we want to, they're going to be producing some murtis of Śrīla Prabhupada for sale, and all the money will go to them for book publication and the missionary work that they're doing in that country. They'll also have some bead bags, so we'll keep you informed as we keep moving forward with our program. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, could you further comment, please?
Well, this is a very important preaching project in Ukraine. As everybody knows, there's a lot of social difficulties due to the war, the unprovoked war against Ukraine. And the devotees there, regardless of their different affiliations, are experiencing a very difficult situation. And any devotee that can support their projects and their various ventures should really do that. I have personally seen they have some murtis of Śrīla Prabhupada. They have some medallions of Lord Narasimha. They also have different items that they're getting ready, or I don't know if they're already for sale, but eventually will be, And this is meant to support the projects, their Namhata program, their book distribution, and everything. Because as we know, this group of devotee with Panchagoda and their devotee named Jagadananda is being harassed. Nothing new. We have the usual suspect. The usual banning, beating, threatening, suing is in full scale, also in Ukraine, just like it is in many other places. But these devotees are very determined to preach and represent Śrīla Prabhupada. And this is very, very important. Under very, very difficult circumstances, under very, very troublesome circumstances, many devotees have actually died, if I'm not mistaken, Panchagoda. They have been grabbed by the Ukraine government, put onto war, and died. And some devotees have gotten exemptions because they distribute prasadam, they engage in good social activities, and they're also preaching. So this definitely should be supported. Prabhupada always was very much in favor of supporting different projects that really needed the help in different parts of the world. So whenever these devotees are going to come out, will come out with these Prabhupada deities, these Narasimha medallions. They also, my understanding, they have also made some bead bags. Devotees should very actively support this and buy them. Panchagoda Prabhu, maybe you can tell Jagadananda and any other devotee with you, send us the information of how devotees can acquire this, and we will try to support you, buy these things, and encourage devotees to do that. And I'm sure many devotees will help your very, very important preaching there. Hare Krishna.
Yes, it's very revealing for all of us, because the material world is a place of misery. It is a place of difficulty, but it is also an opportunity for liberation out of this entanglement. Yes, it is. And we can be optimistic about the future because of the opportunity that we have to serve Śrīla Prabhupada and please Krishna. This is such a very wonderful thing. I know when I was in Toronto as a president years ago, we bought a temple downtown Toronto and on Avenue Road. And it was a real step up. I mean, we were living in a slum area of Toronto on Gerrard Street where all the drunks lived. When Prabhupada came to Toronto, he wanted to stay with us. We wanted to put him at the Royal York Hotel, and he refused. He wanted to stay with us. He stayed around this corner on a street called Pembroke because we had no room in the temple. We had over 50 devotees living in the temple. He lived in a single apartment, a bachelor apartment, for 4 days with us. And he came and took a very humble position in that situation. And then somehow or other, after Prabhupada left, he wanted us to buy the building. And I was in the room when he offered us $300,000 from the BBT. He was on the phone. He called up his office in LA. And he said, I want to buy this church. He wanted to buy it for us. And then we went ahead and made an offer. Jagadish Prabhu at the time made the offer to the Christian church. You'll see some pictures sometimes online of us going to look at the church with Prabhupada. And I can remember when we got there, the minister almost fell over and fainted when he saw us. He was like, oh my God, who's this? We look like a bunch of aliens from a foreign planet. At any rate, we went ahead and made the offer for $300,000. And Prabhupada was ready to give the money. And then they told us, oh, we'd rather burn this church down than sell it to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. And then Prabhupada, we were in a meeting with him in his quarters, and he said, well, you have no money. What can we do? Because, you know, an offer means you have so much, you make an offer. If they say no, if we had said, okay, we'll give you all your money, they would have probably said yes. But Prabhupada gave him a lowball offer. I think they were asking $450 and he offered $300. So he said to us, you have no money, so what can we do? And, you know, when Prabhupada left, somehow or other, I pondered on that. I thought, he's right. How can you buy something when you have no money, especially in real estate? If you think you can get something, you better have some money. Otherwise, don't bother. It's a waste of time. You're just a dreamer. And then when I took over as president, we started to organize to raise Lakshmi with our wonderful group of devotees in Toronto. It was a team effort. It wasn't one person. It was a group of us. Trying to please Prabhupada, we were looking and trying to decide what to get. It's a great story. I've got it partially written up on my website. But nonetheless, we went ahead and somehow or other we raised enough money to, when the opportunity came a year later to buy the church again, we had enough money to make an offer. And through multiple moves, we got this building for Krishna. And Prabhupada sent me a letter, and he said, this is a topmost triumph that you've got this building for Krishna. Topmost triumph. Gee. But this is the idea. If you do something sincerely and with effort, then you invoke the mercy of the spiritual master. And if you please the spiritual master, that will please Krishna. And in this way, you can go back home, back to Godhead. And this is the secret of success in Krishna consciousness. To please Śrīla Prabhupāda, who is ever present with us in this Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society. He is living with us in sound. At the end of our program, we have that credits. And at the end, there's those quotes that Bhaktivedanta put in, which are so wonderful quotes. I love them to see them at the end. How we are living with Śrīla Prabhupada in his instructions. And his instructions and his teachings will never die in the hearts of his bona fide disciples. Yes. And unfortunately, things have not gone well for that other group. And this is due to whimsical behavior. That's what's happening. Based on false ego, based on anarchy, and based on personal ambition. So those people, as Yaśodā-nandana, that association should be avoided to protect yourself and others, if you possibly can, from being misdirected on the path back home, back to Godhead. Yaśodā-nandana, if you could wind up with a few words for us.
Do we have any other members of the panel that would like to make any comments before I open my mouth? Anybody?
Hare Krishna.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yes, Prabhu, please speak.
Hare Krishna. I just joined much later, but listening to Vishwakarma Prabhu's story about Prabhupada and his stay with in Toronto, if there was a pseudo guru today, my question is, $300,000 in the 70s are worth how much in today's money? Would you say minimum 2 million or 3 million, at least 10 times the amount?
Yes, 3 million.
Yes. So now imagine if a pseudo guru who has $3 million at his discretion would ever stay in the same quarters as you had provided to Prabhupada in today's day and age, if he had $3 million at his discretion. Now, this is where we need to understand who Prabhupada is and why and what did he use his Lakshmi for, not for personal sense gratification, only in the service of Krishna. Why? Because he is the Uttam Adhikari. He has seen what pleasures, real pleasures are in the spiritual realm and material pleasures in the in this miserable material world are so minuscule, so insignificant that it does not matter. He rather stay with the devotees and instill Krishna consciousness in them rather than stay in a fancy hotel or in a fancy hotel room. Stay away from them, because his whole purpose of leaving Vaikuntha Loka, Golok Vrindavan, to come down to this material world is to instill into us Krishna consciousness. And are we worthy of this sacrifice? Are we worthy of raising ourselves up to his level which he wants us to? This is what I wanted to tell you. And in fact, in a Hindi, there is a saying, Guru Vakya Hi Kirtanam, meaning the very words of the Acharya is as good as Kirtanam itself. Not just chanting Hare Krishna and says that is Kirtanam. Following the Acharya's word itself is Kirtanam. It itself is a practice of Bhakti Yoga. Hare Krishna. I would love to know what Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu has to say.
Your microphone,
Yeah, well,
brother.
Yeah, I got it. In order to understand or practice Bhakti Yoga, we've dealt with this several times. One cannot do this in a whimsical way or in a concocted way. What the situation we're facing right now, and I'm sure many persons on this blog here, on this program are aware, it's like a constant avalanche of different manufactured ideas and philosophies under the guise of claiming that this represents Śrīla Prabhupada. You know, it's like we've said many times on this program, people cannot manufacture or invent their own ways of following Prabhupada. They have to follow Prabhupada the way that Prabhupada wanted to be followed, the way that Prabhupada indicated in his books and his teachings and his lectures. But when the very essence of his teachings, his books, is being changed, how people are going to follow Prabhupada? How is that following Prabhupada? Just like if you go to any court in any state of the United States or anywhere in the world, they follow certain laws. And these laws are made by the legislature, by the government. Now, somebody can't say, I'm going to make my own law. I'm going to manufacture my own law and go to court and say, here's my law. It doesn't work that way. That's not how the system works. Similarly, in spiritual life, especially in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, or those who claim that they're following Prabhupada, they can't manufacture their own set of books by changing it and say, oh, I was authorized to edit. That is simply nonsense. Prabhupada has not authorized any disciple to change his books. No one has ever been authorized to do that. Because when you change the book, you change the meaning. You're changing the actual words of His Divine Grace. And I know the argument trying to tarnish Hayagriva as being a bad person, a bad devotee, a bad this, bad that. No. The mistake that he made was that he took something out of Easy Journey to Other Planets, but his Bhagavad Gita editing and his Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam first and second canto was done directly under the supervision and guidance of Śrīla Prabhupada. This was confirmed by Govinda Dasi in some of our memories and explanation. So those people that want to change the Bhagavad Gita, rewrite the Bhagavad Gita, give so-called new meanings under the plea that they understand Sanskrit better, or they went to some so-called pseudo manuscript, that's not going to fly. That is not the original. You cannot manufacture your own interpretation of what is the original book. This 1972 Bhagavad Gita was authorized by Prabhupada. He gave lectures from it. Scholars gave reviews from it. Thousands of people read it and became devotees. We don't need a new interpretation by some so-called self-appointed editors and self-appointed gurus. Very dangerous times for those who are aware of the controversy. Thank you very much. Hare.
Well, we want to thank everyone for participating again today in this reading and discussion of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is, of course, one of our favorite books. And even though it has some sort of grammatical or punctuation that's not correct, or even spellings, for whatever reasons. The message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is loud and clear from the transcendental realm and through the transparent via media of Śrīla Prabhupada. It's very wonderful. So we encourage everyone. Soon we'll have these books. I had an inquiry about it, and I wanted to mention that we're finalizing the printing of the books as we speak. And once we have them completed, then we'll be happily distributing them across them. We do have a wonderful plan for the distribution of the books in various cities through our wonderful devotee Krishna Katha in San Diego. So that plan is in place, and he's already preparing. And we're working on that project. If you want to reach out to him, he can give you some details on it, how we're progressing. But thank you, everyone, for joining us again today. And we'll be back on Wednesday, or excuse me, so programmed to the Wednesday. It's Thursday now. Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Canadian time, Eastern Standard Time, and in different parts of the world according to your time, for our reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita as it is. And we'll keep marching forward to the end of the year here with our various programs by the grace of Krishna and Śrīla Prabhupāda. So thank you very much. Let's move forward with the chanting of Hare Krishna. It's 2.5 minutes. I always mention that, but stay on. Don't just jump off and run off and have a toast or whatever. And we'll keep going. Hare Krishna, glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks, everybody, for participating in this broadcasting program. Thanks, Rupesh Prabhu in Mumbai, India, Vishwakarma Prabhu in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, Nilesh Prabhu in Miami, Florida, USA, and everybody else who has participated in this program. We always appreciate your participation, your comments. Feel free to contact every one of us. And also, for those of you who recommend to your friends and associates to go on our YouTube channel and watch the program as it is recorded and always available. Again, please join us on Thursday afternoon at 5:00 p.m. for the Chaitanya Charitamrita reading, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, corresponding to 8:00 Florida time or 8:00 Hamilton, Ontario time. Again, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.